welcome to Generation Truth Podcast with Carey and Rebekah Charles, where we declare that the Lord is good, His mercy is everlasting, and His truth endureth to all generations. We have a very special topic we're going to discuss today, and I actually have a guest with me on the podcast today. His name is Scott Carsley. He's the president and founder of the Edge Christian Camp, and I have grown to love this man of God. He has taught me so much, and he's helped Rebekah and I personally on so many levels. Scott, we're going to talk about how to save. And the reason why is because you have been helping many of the staff here at camp with this. You help people up and down the East Coast with this. You help your church with this, how to manage finances. We are talking mostly to teenagers and young adults, but really this could be for any generation, any level that you're at, to think about, okay, it's important to save. Byron Fox gave me a quote one time. He said, Carey, you should earn as much money as you possibly can in order that you can give as much money as you possibly can. So we're going to start out. If you just finished college, that's what we just talked about in the last episode, or you just finished secular college, Bible college, or you didn't go to college, you just finished high school, whatever it may be, and you're getting a job, you just found a great job, you need to know what to do with money. So Scott, what do you do? What is one of the best ways as a young adult or a teenager or whatever age they're at to prepare financially for your future?
Yes, Carey. I believe one of the very first things you need to be is proactive. You need to be thinking about this. It needs to be a part of your life immediately, and then plan to be persistent with it. It takes planning, and most importantly, it takes patience. You have to know that this is something that I plan on doing, and you need to stick to it with persistence.
So maybe, okay, if they're getting into the discipline part and they're preparing mentally, what would you say is maybe the first step of discipline if they just got a job at Chick-fil-A, okay, and they got their first paycheck? What should they do with that paycheck?
So the very first thing they need to do is begin starting a budget so that they can begin to realize what their income is versus any expenses they may already have. If they currently have liabilities or debt, then they need to take those things in consideration and then begin to build a budget on that so they have something they can monitor on a monthly basis.
Okay, so let's just say there are some listeners listening to this episode and they're thinking, okay, what is a budget? Then, that may seem like a very basic question, but honestly, it took me a while to figure this out. What is a budget?
So generally speaking, your budget is an estimate of your income and expenses for a set period of time. And so it's a tracking system that you would use to track your income. Let's say you just got a job at Chick-fil-A. You know about, on average, how many hours you're going to have. And so you can begin to estimate what your income would be for the month. And then, of course, by then you would know what your expenses are. If you go out buy a car or buy anything for that matter, then you'll have expenses toward those things. Maybe you just graduated from college and you're living on your own. You've got food expenses, gas expenses, all these things that you need to take in consideration. Yes, sir.
Lots of bills. When I first moved out of the house, I thought to myself, man, there's a lot more bills going on here. But that's just a part of life. And that is so important for us to nail down. I kind of, when I first got out of high school, I didn't really have a budget. I had a mental budget, which didn't really work that well. It was more of, okay, I've got money in the bank, I'm okay to spend it. Or I'm okay to spend this much as long as I have this little bit left over. But I didn't really know, I didn't understand how to save money. And so...
Yeah, I would lend that to lack of planning.
Yeah, I agree.
You mentally try to track your expenses according to what you believe your paychecks are going to be, and by the end of the month, you soon realize that you're more than likely spending more than you anticipated.
Yes, I mean, technically I was going in the red even though I had money at the end of the month because I was not planning it right. You're exactly right. Do you have a resource that would help them put this together? I know that there's an app out there that we use personally, and it's called Every Dollar, and it's a budget app that you can actually plan everything. You could even plan, you have categories of tithing charity giving, your groceries, gas. And that's an app that does have a monthly subscription. But do you have anything that you would recommend? Or
So there's many ways you can track it. Is simply all the way down to just a simple Excel spreadsheet. I've seen some of our staff, just use a notebook. The apps are good, especially for this generation. They love the digital world, and it's readily available in your hands. Us iPhone users love the quick access tools, and so apps are a great way to get started and planning your life through that.
Yeah, no, I would agree. Especially teenagers nowadays, they don't really know. They do everything on their phone. Young adults do everything on their phone, it seems like. And but you're right. There are some really good stuff. You showed me how to do it a little bit on a spreadsheet, and I really appreciated that. That is really helpful. And so it is. We do this so that we can save money to glorify God. How would you say, what is one of the best ways? I believe from what the Bible teaches that the best way, and really the first thing you should do with your paycheck is you should tithe.
Correct.
You should give that to God. Right. And, the Bible talks about this. It says in Malachi 3:10, bring ye all the tithes into the storehouse, that there may be meat in mine house, and prove me now herewith, saith the Lord of hosts. If I will not open you the windows of heaven and pour you out a blessing, that there shall not be room enough to receive it. Scott, would you say by your own testimony that when you gave God the first of your paycheck, you gave him the 10% tithe that the Bible talks about, when you were faithful to him, he was faithful to you?
Yes, absolutely. When you give to God what is due to God, it doesn't even belong to us, then God blesses over and over and over again. And when you plan your life to where you go beyond that 10%, and now you've given your tithe, but now you're giving an offering and showing or witnessing God's work multiply over and over and over again, God returns it every single time. And we've been blessed by that. My wife and I, when we first got married, we had to figure out how we were going to move forward in life. And so we had to create budgets, and we had to be persistent in it. And we obviously had to be patient. It took us, it'll take you a good 5-6 years to get yourself to where you're settled, meaning you have that 3 months of protection set aside
it takes
for you and your family. It takes time to do that, and it takes discipline, because it is very easy, as I mentioned in one of our classes on Thursday night, it's very easy to get your paycheck and buy an extra pack of Oreo cookies. But you got to think toward the future. You have to think
I do love
toward
Oreos, but
yes, we do love Oreos. But you have to consider the future. You're young, you're out of college, your life is still going to change. You're going to find a spouse, you're going to need a new car. Maybe you're young and you just got married. Your life could still potentially change. God could bless you with children. Maybe you feel led to purchase a home. There are so many different avenues that you can take, and it's just a matter of sitting down and planning out your life. It's like the parable of the talents. Are you going to multiply what God gives you, or are you going to just stash it away and hide it under a mattress?
Yes, that is so good. I'm glad you brought that up. You have the one guy that was just scared to do anything with it because he didn't want his master to be mad at him, but really his master wanted him to invest it and to plan it and plan it correctly so that he could have some extra savings, even if it was just a couple extra bucks, really.
Correct.
And then you could give that back to the Lord, or you could save it for that van that you really believe that you need later on if you're going to have 5 kids, something like that. And so this is part 1 of how to save. And I really wanted to bring Scott on this because this is so crucial. I meet so many young adults and teenagers nowadays, including myself. I was here and I'm still learning, that don't really know how to save. They don't know what to do with their extra income. They think, oh, I've got $5 in the bank. I'm good. What do I do with that $5? You need to plan it. And so, Carey, what does this have to do with truth? What is generation truth? These are practical truths that will help you. These are very practical. What is a budget? What to do with that budget? What are some resources on that? And even the biblical side of things, you need to be giving to the Lord. Put him first, and he will take care of the rest. He'll bless you abundantly above all that we could ever ask or think. And so let's know the truth so we can live the truth, so we can give the truth, because God's truth endures to every generation.